And not always we should introduce some sanctions. We should, of course, review the situation and all the options that are made available for us. And we should also, of course, provide for recycling of all the sorted waste, and so that they are able to return to our economy. And all this process should be made in a transparent manner. And of course, we should also provide for appropriate infrastructure, namely the containers and other items. And actually, this is an issue of responsible citizenship, and I don't think we should introduce some drastic sanctions or monetary penalties. What I would like to add that it's not the individuals who fail to comply, but in Riga, where we have the highest density of inhabitants, in Brasa, where I live, for example, we don't even have the opportunity to sort our waste. We don't have separate containers. Yes, today we also heard from different views, and some people also said that they have to go several kilometers to deposit their sorted waste. Of course, we should evaluate each part of our city, and I also try not to throw out the plastic bottles along with the general garbage. I actually try to deal with this in a more responsible way. And actually, when Mr. Emsis was in charge, he at least dealt with the paper waste. And also in our parliament, not only they produce very many documents and papers, but they also arrange for recycling. What about you? Do you yourself sort your waste? I try to do so partially. So what do you sort and what do you don't? Actually, I try not to throw out plastic bottles, but the rest of it goes with the general waste. In the parliament, of course, and also in the Ministry of Environment, we have introduced these special containers for recycling of paper. At home, I try to also keep separately the plastic materials. And of course, the electric appliances and the batteries and the accumulators, I also try to separate. And when we talk about the food leftovers, I take them to countryside and feed it to the pigs. Because such leftovers cannot be always fed to the zoo animals in the zoo. All right, and Mr. Strasts, who has lived also for a certain period in Germany, is also quite enthusiastic about the sorting of waste. Yes, I think it's a very good idea, and I wouldn't separate different types of tea bags according to the flavors, but probably we can discriminate between white glass or colored glass and cardboard and different types of paper. And yes, thank you for your reply. And talking about the food leftovers, we still can make use of it. Yes, but he also said that he's not throwing it out. He feeds it to the pigs. But how we could motivate people, we could probably involve those engaged in so-called 100 let job program. So they could probably sort the waste. And this could also solve the employment problems. And probably they would be the ones who also control what is being thrown out. Yes, they simply could stand nearby the container and shout at those who fail to comply with the regulations. Simply by pointing out that you shouldn't throw out the glass in the paper container. Of course, probably it could be tried out as a pilot project. However, I believe that our state will come out of the crisis, and we will not be forced to involve the so-called 100 let jobs in sorting the waste. But when we talk about the food leftovers, what has been separated or sorted should not be treated as general waste, and of course it has certain value. Liga also has a question, and she has a question regarding alternative sources of energy. Zelensky said that a special law governing the alternative energies will be drafted, and the question is, of course, we have different areas of development. Will also the hydrogen be included in this law, apart from biofuel and etc.? Actually, here we are talking about support that should be provided to the innovation, and which is another topic. And of course, we also discussed the sea waves and other resources. But of course, we should define the extent to which we should support different technologies as viable. And secondly, of course, we should think about how we can support innovation and introduction of different innovative solutions in practice.
The Ministry of Environment is implementing a number of programs, and we're about to launch one additional program to support the innovations and pilot projects for alternative energies. Basically, we're going to support the technologies having the future value, providing us future solutions so we could test them at the pilot project or pilot equipment level. And what I also didn't finish with when you asked, well, what can we boast about as a country, I would like to finish and mention that I have talked to a number of researchers who have developed quite interesting technologies, and most part probably of these technologies, due to one or another reason, will not be implemented. Probably their innovation is, too far-fetched in some cases. But at least if the minor part of these projects will be implemented, it will give a good opportunity for Latvia to create its own Nokia, if not Nokia, but at least a commercially successful product. Under condition that many researchers have done that because of international orders, not in the case of the local order coming from the government. And if the research has been successful, then it's being patented and everybody's earning money on it. Yeah, it can be different. It can be really different. We have been the first ones to build the first pilot project for the dendrolite, which is located in Ventspils. It's not our discovery, but the first plant has been built here, so we shouldn't be shy of transferring the best knowledge or the best technologies from others. Another question here. To what extent do you yourselves follow the innovatives with innovation in the development of alternative technologies developed elsewhere in the world, not in the Baltics? Can you specify what technologies are you talking about for us to understand whether they are falling or not? So to give you a specific technology, a grid to produce the technology. Dance floor to produce the power. So as you walk on the dance floor, the energy is being produced. Somewhere in the dance floor, electricity could be generated to power the whole school. Well, at least in the hall, yes. Well, so I just sort of was stepping. The light comes up. If you don't walk, the light goes down. Have you heard anything about that? Well, let's not talk about the dance floor, but about modern technologies. Well, if we are talking about specific things, nobody is, living in isolation, and we hear the information about new developments. And I used to be interested in one of the power generation ways from sort of walking. If you walk, your video cam battery is being charged as you walk, using the motoric energy, and that could be useful when exploring the New Guinea when you have no other power sources to power your video camera. But that's not a cheap technology and not an easy technology either. So that's a